the hands of a man who's been described as the world's leading jazz guitarist, Wes Montgomery. You might remember that some time ago we presented a program in which the British jazzman Ronnie Scott introduced one of the world's leading tenor sax players, Ben Webster. In fact, Ronnie Scott has done more than anybody else to bring modern jazz into the forefront in this country, and certainly nobody's better qualified to talk about it than he is. And so we've invited him again to the studio to introduce us to Wes Montgomery.
It's only during the last 3 or 4 years that Wes Montgomery has achieved the recognition he deserves. And whilst it's generally accepted that he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, jazz guitarist in the world, the most amazing thing about him is, I think, that he's completely self-taught and unschooled, a completely natural musician, whereas this was quite common some 20 or 30 years ago when jazz was a much simpler music. In these days of complex harmonies and rhythm, it really is very much of a rarity. Coupled with this is the fact that Wes has, through force of circumstances, developed his own very highly individual technique, which involves him plucking the strings of the guitar with the thumb of his right hand, as opposed to the normal tortoiseshell or plastic pick that the vast majority of guitarists use. But more about that later. Meanwhile, here's Wes to play a composition of his own, which involves the normal common 4/4 rhythm superimposed against a rhythm of 6/8. And Wes has called it, logically enough, 4 on 6.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Wes told me the story of how he came to play with his thumb rather than with a pick. It appears that when he first heard the great Charlie Christian, when Wes was about 19, he proceeded to go out and buy himself a guitar and amplifier and start to practice. And he used to like to practice with the amplifier on. And this very much annoyed a maiden aunt of Wes's who lived in the next flat, and she did nothing but scream abuse at him through the partition wall. Wes soon discovered that the noise was cut down considerably when the thumb was substituted for the pick. The maiden aunt was reduced to just sort of subdued gibberings, and everyone was happy, except on Wes's first engagement, when he fondly believed that he could substitute the pick for his thumb whenever he wanted to. He discovered that when he was using the pick, he couldn't tell one string from another. So he proceeded to play the rest of the evening with his thumb, and since then has developed this technique to a really amazing degree. You'll hear an example of this fantastic, very personal technique in this next tune, which is another of Wes's compositions. It's called Full House.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That was an interpretation of a very pretty tune called Here Comes That Rainy Day, the bossa nova rhythm. During his appearances in this country, Wes Montgomery has been heard by almost every major British guitarist, and they've all been full of admiration for his work. And one of the things that seems to amaze them most is this incredible ability he has to play phrases, fast, complicated phrases, in octaves, faster than most guitarists can play single string runs. You'll hear this expressed in this next tune that Wes is going to play, which will be his last contribution, and I think you'll agree that Wes Montgomery has very firmly laid his claim to be the boss of the jazz guitar. Here's Wes Montgomery in another of his own compositions called Twisted Blues.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.